Hello? No way. Are you are you serious right now? Hang on a second. Hey, I'm in the middle of recording this video, and I just got a phone call from George R. R. Martin. He told me that every single like this video gets, he'll finish a page from the Winds of Winter. So why don't you guys go ahead and slap some likes on this video. Hey, George, I'll call you back once I finish this. All right, man. Later. Today's video is going to be about Arya Stark and where she may be headed in Game of Thrones Season 8. This was actually selected by you guys over in the community section on my YouTube channel. I actually ran a poll and Arya was the most voted for a theory video. Arya Stark is the youngest daughter and third child of Lady Catelyn and Lord Eddard Stark. Eddard was the head of House Stark and Lord Paramount of the North. The North is one of the constituent regions of the Seven Kingdoms, and House Stark is one of the great houses of that realm. House Stark rules the region from the seat of Winterfell, and Eddard also holds the title of Lord of Winterfell. He is also the Warden of the North to King Baratheon. Now on to Arya. Arya was born and raised in Winterfell. She has one older sister, Sansa Stark. She also has an older brother, Robb, and two younger brothers, Bran and Rickon, and then a half-bastard brother, or we all know her as her favorite, Jon Snow. Arya rejects the normality or the notion that she must become a lady and marry for influence and power instead of love. She actually believes that she can forge her own destiny, which is insane because in those patriarchal time, that's not a common theme. It is with a lot of northern girls growing up like that. They're taught to be more free-spirited and more like they're taught how to hunt and trap and, basically protect themselves and, how to survive. She is fascinated by warfare and training in the use of arms, and is bored by embroidery and other ladylike pursuits. She takes after her father and has a quarrelsome relationship with her sister, Sansa Stark, due to their contrasting interests and personality. She is close to her half-brother Jon, who is also something of an outcast. So, that's another reason it's kind of touched on a bit in the show, but it's more of a theme in the novels, is that the reason why Jon and Arya are so close, or one of the reasons why they're so close, is because they relate to the fact that they kind of feel out of place. Jon Snow has been arguably treated like, a son of Ned, but he also is reminded almost every day by Catelyn that he's not one of them. So he never really feels 100% at home with the Starks. Now, it's not as drastic for Arya, but the fact that her mother is a southern woman, Sansa is like the perfect embodiment of like what a southern Westerosi woman should be, wanting to embroider. Just like a typical medieval woman, Arya is the opposite of that, and because of that, she feels out of place too. So her and Jon actually bond over this. Before we jump into those Season 8 predictions, let's discuss a little bit more of Arya's backstory to kind of get a grasp on how her mental state is going into Season 8. Because, yes, she is one of my favorite characters, but she's also a lot of people's favorite characters. And, sometimes if you're a fan of the person, it's hard to see their faults. So I think it's a good idea if we talk a little bit about the psychology of Arya, because honestly, if she was anywhere other than Westeros, and if she was any other, if she was the member of any other house other than House Stark, we would call her a psychopath, because the behavior that she's showing and displaying to everyone is psychotic behavior, and she is not of normal mind state. Like, yes, she's experienced some crazy trauma, and that would make anyone suffer from PTSD, but the amount of overkill and the enjoyment that Arya gets from seeking revenge for House Stark, revenge to 100%, makes her a little bit not mentally stable. But anyway, Arya can be a rather cold-blooded, slightly sadistic person at times, especially while confronting and killing those who are on her death list. Though she was initially apathetic but satisfied over killing Meryn Trant and Polliver, she did not attempt to hide her glee over slitting Walder Frey's throat. She smiled at the camera. While she certainly possesses compassion and kindness, her time with the Hound and the Faceless Men have taught her to be ruthless to those who have wronged her and her family, and she is shown to be willing to use psychological mind games to worsen her enemy's fate just before she kills them. Shown when she repeated every word Polliver said to Lamy before killing him in the exact same way with Needle, gouged the eyes of Sir Meryn Trant before stabbing him repeatedly, and butchering Lord Walder's son before serving their corpses to their father inside of a pie. Now, if you list this to any sort of shrink or psychologist, they will tell you, oh my God, are you telling me about a fictional person? Because this person is on the brink of insanity. Oh, better yet, they are insane. I guess you could argue that Arya hasn't completely gone down that dark path yet, like basically the point of no return. Now, you can argue that, yeah, she's way past that. That was back in season 3. She's past that point of no return. I'm not saying that she would ever psychologically be sound again, because honestly, the amount of trauma and everything that she's suffered from and everything that she's endured and, put on to other people, she'll never be the same. It's like, once a war vet returns from combat, they don't feel the same. They don't feel quite at home. They feel out of place. So that's what's going to happen to Arya once the Great War for the Dawn is over and once vengeance for House Stark has been reached. She's not going to feel normal. She might even go back up and join the Faceless Men, but that's besides the point. We saw her in Season 7. She did still have a little bit of compassion left because once she found out that her family had retaken Winterfell, she immediately headed home. One of my favorite moments, or like little small storylines with Arya, was back in Season 6 when she was in Bravos, before she left to Westeros. Like, yes, there's a lot of collusion around the plot line involving the Waif, but mainly her interaction with Lady Crane is what I'm speaking on here. My favorite moments. She is, nearly dying from her injuries. She's speaking with Lady Crane, and Lady Crane says, what are you going to do once you get to Westeros? Like, what are your plans for the future? Arya says, what's west of Westeros? Now, what you're seeing here is basically maps of Westeros. I actually received this, the Lands of Ice and Fire. I received this as a gift for Christmas, and we're just basically going to whip out a map and see what's west of Westeros. So just give me a second to, kind of lay it out straight for you. Okay, here we go. So apparently what's west of Westeros is just Lonely Light. The map just kind of cuts off right there. There are a little bit of stories of people that try to sail past Lonely Light. Lonely Light is actually territory of the Iron Islands. So the Ironborn, technically own that. But people who try to sail out past, Lonely Light, honestly, I think eventually they'd reach back around to Essos. But few people have gone out there, and the ones that have basically said there's nothing, just endless amounts of water. And then, most of the people who do go out there and end up dying and never return. So there's a possibility that if there's a crap ton of ocean that no one has the patience to get through, nor the supplies or anything like that, or it could just be that Planetos is actually flat Earth. If we ever do find out what's truly west of Westeros, and if Arya does journey out there, that's honestly the best ending for a character. Like, I think it would be a great way to show her kind of just like sailing off into the sunset. But I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about if we will ever find out what's truly west of Westeros in Game of Thrones Season 8. Let me know down below in the comments section. Okay, so it's kind of easy to sit here and predict, okay, this is where a character is going to be. A lot of people like to believe that since Arya Stark is George R. R. Martin's current wife, so that's her favorite character, George is not going to kill her off. Like, there's a rumor that basically he said that if he did kill Arya off, his wife would divorce him. Like, basically Tyrion, Arya, and maybe Jon Snow are safe until the end. So it's easy to sit here and be like, oh, well, Arya may do this, but ultimately she's going to be alive. I honestly don't really know what to expect. I do know that the novels in Season 8 are going to end in a similar way, and there's actually 2 books left. You have The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring, so there's a lot that can happen. A lot of people think it's a guaranteed given that Jon Snow is going to come back, when honestly it's not. It's a guaranteed given that he worked into Ghost, in my opinion, but it's not guaranteed that he's going to come back. So when you look at Arya's trajectory, it's kind of like, if she was a Sansa-type character, maybe a Tyrion-type character, where they're involved in the main storylines, but they don't ever actually get their hands dirty, they might be safe. Because it seems like, if you go by Lord Baelish's fate, he's always in the mix, but he never actually gets his hands dirty, except for that one time with Ned Stark. And look, that's how he ended up dying. Haha, very similar way. He didn't kill Ned Stark, no, not by slitting his throat, but that's what happened to him. So that's how he ultimately ended up dying. But anyway, if you kind of just keep a low profile where you never really get your hands dirty, you tend to be one of the safest people in Westeros. Look at Cersei. She's never bloodied her hands except for at the Purple Wedding, and she's still alive going into the final season of Game of Thrones. So the same cannot be said for Arya. Arya has been getting her hands dirty since day one. And because of this, I don't think that her fate is as solid as people think. When we were just going over her character, one of her traits, or one of her main personality quirks, is that she thinks she can forge her own destiny. In this patriarchal society where women are said to wash dishes, cook, clean, and take care of the babies, she thinks that she can go out and do whatever she wants. And honestly, she's done it. She's been forging her own destiny. So, relating this back to what I was saying earlier, even after all of this ends and, House Stark is safe and somewhat they can continue on their line and they're still a thing and she still exists, she's not going to be satisfied with that. So the way that I see Arya, the path rather, that I see her headed down, is doing something that we all see as so heinous that we kind of are like, oh my gosh, is this even Arya that we know? Like, it's like, it will be bittersweet in the sense that, yeah, Arya's alive, but she's so changed, we don't even recognize her. There's no coming back from that. One of the perfect things to do so in order to make us see such a heinous scene on screen would be killing someone like Tyrion Lannister. I mean, just think about it. Tyrion Lannister and Jaime are somewhat headed to Winterfell. We do know that Tyrion is going to be arriving a lot sooner than Jaime, but Arya hasn't had the chance to see the Lannisters mutate and evolve into better people. You know, I'm not saying that Cersei is, but Jaime and Tyrion are almost 100% good guys at this point. They kind of just want to do what's best for the realm. Like, yeah, it can be argued that Jaime was still fighting for the Lannisters last season, and she charged Daenerys with the spear. Like, I don't think that that's not going to be unaddressed. I hope that Jaime gets to spend a good portion of the time of next season in jail for charging the queen with the spear. But that's just my personal, personal preference because I'm a huge Daenerys fan. But you can't. Arya hasn't seen all that. The last Arya heard by the mummers in Bravos was that Tyrion was this monster who was raping Sansa and who was doing all these evil deeds and who was actually behind the killing of Joffrey. So not that, she's going to hate Tyrion because he killed Joffrey, but the fact that she hasn't seen them change. We've watched them change. Every episode, they get a little bit better. Now, Tyrion has kind of always been this, like, wisecracking, sarcastic character, and he's never really outright done anything to go against House Stark. You remember when Bran got paralyzed, he tried to build him the saddle. Remember, he tried to, speak his point and let it be known about how he felt to Cersei several times, about House Stark. Like, obviously, he could have done a little bit more to save them, but as far as a guilty list, Tyrion is the least closest to the top. He's done the least harm against House Stark. So killing him would be perfect. And the irony is almost too perfect to not have that go down. It's like we've seen the Lannisters turn into better people, but she hasn't. She only knows the worst side of every Lannister. And I honestly think that will lead her into killing Tyrion. She's probably going to poison his wine because I don't think that, she'll probably talk to him for a bit. And I'm not saying this is guaranteed. This is just a prediction for Game of Thrones Season 8. But if she did do it this way, I could see her poisoning his wine because he doesn't necessarily deserve to be stabbed or to mutilated or to be stabbed in the eyes or have his throat slit. I think the best way to do it is, we know Tyrion's a heavy drinker, so maybe you slip a little bit of poison into his wine. It's definitely bittersweet because we love Tyrion, but then also you're like, she's kind of revenging House Stark. Honestly, if Arya kills Tyrion, that would probably knock Arya down a few favorite spots in my book of favorite characters, but so be it. She kind of, in my opinion, she kind of made up her mind about killing Tyrion when she saw how his character was portrayed in that play in Bravos. And I know that seems a little bit silly, but it's kind of the point of showing this, like, this is how Arya is being refreshed of what's going on in Westeros. And honestly, she's had time to talk with Sansa, and Sansa's probably clarified a few of those things that she saw in the play. But for the most part, I think she kind of made up her mind about that. So she doesn't want to hear too much of what Sansa has to say. Well, technically it didn't go down that way because she's already made up her mind about it. And I honestly think it will make it even more bittersweet because Tyrion will accept his fate. He knows that he's done wrong in the past, and he's honestly, the last gleam that he had to live for, in my opinion, was since he's in love with Daenerys. Now Daenerys is with Jon Snow, and she's probably going to stay with Jon Snow until her dying day. Tyrion kind of almost has nothing to live for. Okay, obviously it can be argued that Tyrion has numerous things to live for. He's got lots of hope for the future to live for, and not to mention he'd make a great ruler. But when you look at the bigger picture and you remove yourself from, Tyrion being one of your favorite characters, he's lived and he's lost a lot. He honestly probably can't take much more of it. And if he realizes that the fate of Westeros, or the fate of the Seven Kingdoms and all of Planetos is left in the hands of good people like Jon and Daenerys, he may be okay with dying. He might be at that point where he's like, what's next? What's next in this great journey of life? He knows that he's killed his father and he's killed his one true love. He'll never be accepted in Westerosi society because of what he's done. So he might just think, okay, this is a good ending. I'm being killed by a House Stark, and House Lannister has done so much harm to House Stark. This is kind of paying my last debt. And remember, Lannisters always pay their debts. I honestly believe / predict that Arya will try, in one way or another, to kill every single remaining member of House Lannister. That's Jaime, Cersei, and Tyrion. So she may not be successful with some of those. Maybe she doesn't, go through with killing Tyrion. But I honestly think she will try to kill the twins, and that is what's going to get her killed. That's the beauty of this. This is just my theory. You guys let me know down below what you think of this theory. If you think, can't see her killing Tyrion, or if you think that would be a little bit too heinous for them to show on screen, two of everyone's favorite characters basically ending it right then and there, because we know Arya wouldn't die from that. Obviously, she would kill the heck out of Tyrion, but a part of Arya will die. Maybe the last part of Arya that we all recognize on screen will die. The part of Arya that brought her home once she found out that her family had retaken Winterfell. That part would completely die if she were to do something like killing Tyrion. But like I said, you guys let me know what you think about this down below in that comment section. The like goal for this video will be 150. Please slap a like on it. Please make sure you have your notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop Game of Thrones content throughout this offseason. Also, if you'd like to be entered into the contest to win this $10 Amazon gift card, all you have to do is like this video, comment, subscribe, and then go follow that gleam.io link down below in the description and make sure you enter the contest every single way to sundown. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. Also, super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon over on patreon.com. If you all watching would like to show some support, check out the link right up here or the link down below, and that'll take you straight to my Patreon. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.